If you want to check out my Twitch channel, it'll be in the description down below. Thank you. Hey, what's going on, guys? WALLAH here. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys my hunter build and my favorite classes to use, my favorite weapons, my mods that I like to run, and why I use certain things, and my settings, I guess, just everything. I'm going to show you guys all the questions you've been asking me, even my ornaments and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's get into it. I guess better to get started on my subclass. So for those wondering, I do play on bottom tree golden gun. If you're new, if you're not new, you already knew this. I use the trip mine grenade. I use the gambler's dodge, so that way I can get my melee up when I dodge next to somebody. And of course, I use strafe jump just like all the sweaty players. So nothing too crazy here. The reason I don't use top tree is because I like the one-shot throwing knives on the bottom tree. If I'm ever playing Arc Strider, my favorite is the bottom tree because of a lot of different things, but the main thing is the fact that you run the fastest on bottom tree, and also when you dodge, you're harder to kill, and the melee's pretty good, and you get your grenades and melee back when you're critically wounded, which isn't too bad either. I'll typically use arc bolt nades on this, and of course the same dodge and jump. To be honest with you guys, I don't like Night Stalker for PvP. I don't like any of these ones. I would never use Night Stalker at all, period. So I don't have a favorite, and I'm not going to talk about it. And as for stasis, I don't play stasis, but I typically like to run Winter Shroud and then Shatter Dive. And as for my fragments, I use Whisper of Torment and Whisper of Durance, and I'll probably use a Dustfield nade or a Cold Snap. I'm not really a fan of the Glacier nades because they're overpowered. But you'll usually catch me on Golden Gun, so the other classes aren't too big of a deal. We're going to start off with the weapons. I'm using the Dead Man's Tail. This is my go-to Trials loadout when I really want to go for it and try hard. I will use this against anybody. Literally, I match sweat players. I use this. I match anyone. The Dead Man's Tail I have has moving target, ricochet rounds, small bore, and of course the catalyst, and I'm using the brand new ornament with it that came out recently. My go-to special weapon, if I'm not using the main ingredient, I am using the Found Verdict Time Lost edition. My role has Vorpal weapons, slide shot, assault mag, corkscrew rifling, a handling masterwork, and an adept handling mod. This unfortunately is not a god role. What I would change is I would rather have opening shot instead of 1-2 punch, and also instead of corkscrew rifling, I would definitely prefer barrel shroud to get the extra handling I'm missing out on, but overall corkscrew is a really good barrel to get because it still gives you some handling. Now for those wondering why I'm using adept handling and not something like Icarus or adept Icarus, I made a video on that not too long ago, probably a week ago or something, so you could try to find that. It's titled my new favorite shotgun mod. As for my heavy weapons, I actually don't use heavy at all in PvP. Very rarely do I pull it. I usually let my teammates pull it, so I'm not really too worried about a heavy weapon. Now we're getting into the armor mods. First is my helmet. I'd like to run a recovery mod on this with a shotgun targeting and a scout rifle targeting. The only problem with having recovery mod on my helmet is that if I ever want to use a hand cannon, I actually can't fit a hand cannon targeting mod and a shotgun and targeting mod. So be careful of this when you're making a build. Try to use a minor mod if you can, but unfortunately with my build, I can't. But luckily, I do like to use the DMT, so that means I can fit a scout rifle mod and a shotgun mod. So there's no problem whatsoever. I can fit both of them. Next, we have my gauntlets. I use a recovery mod, a scout rifle dexterity mod, and a fastball mod. The reason I use something like scout rifle dexterity and not something like shotgun dexterity is pretty simple, and that's because the handling on my scout rifle is actually pretty damn slow. There's a weird animation with it, and you gotta twirl it and stuff. And to be honest, it feels like crap without scout rifle dexterity mod, so that's why I use it. And my shotgun already has a bunch of handling on it, so I'm not really too worried about that. If for some weird reason you don't like fastball, you could run both a shotgun and a scout rifle mod. But to be completely honest with you guys, fastball is probably one of the most important perks in the game. It makes your grenades a lot better and a lot more useful. I highly suggest using fastball. You'll notice a huge difference right away. Please, just try it. And depending what I'm using, so if I'm using a hand cannon, I clearly can't fit a Radiant Light mod here, but since I am using a scout rifle and I have a lot of room, I'll slap on a scout rifle dexterity mod and I could actually fit in Radiant Light here. So that lets me remove it from my chest piece, and now I can run some unflinching mods. So instead of only running scout rifle unflinching, I could use something like scout rifle and shotgun unflinching, which is really nice. But to be honest with you guys, you don't really need shotgun unflinching. It's kind of overkill. I mean, if you're in front of them with a shotgun, you're probably going to hit them. Sometimes, yeah, you'll get flinched, but it's not really a big a deal. Next, we got Stompies. Of course, I only use Stompies. I got 4 different pairs. You'll never catch me using a different exotic, to be honest with you guys. This is what I have fun with, and this is literally the only thing I use. For the mods, we have a recovery mod, a scout rifle holster mod, which I don't really notice do anything, to be honest. I think this is basically a waste. You don't need a holster mod, but I have it on just because what else am I going to use realistically? And then, of course, we have a shotgun scavenger mod. I still think scavengers are really important, so you should always have one, of course. And then for my cloak, I like to have a arc cloak, so that way I can put powerful friends on it and get 20 mobility, which is a huge boost. Outreach, which isn't too important to be honest, but what else am I going to use again? And of course, a mobility mod. And with all those armor pieces, it gives me 100 mobility, 29 resilience, unfortunately, so close to 30, 100 recovery, 60 discipline, 50 intellect, and 60 strength. As for my stats, we have mobility here. I suggest 100 mobility always on Hunter, no matter what you do. The reason being is because you need 11-second dodge cooldown. It's just essential. Dodging is the #1 ticket to get out of shitty situations on Hunter, and in all honesty, it's one of the best movement things in the game. That's why a lot of people hate playing against Hunters, because they're always dodging around, and every 11 seconds is pretty often. And of course, if you mix this with the Gambler's Dodge, you get your melee back. So you can get your melee back every 11 seconds, technically. Very, very useful. Please, if you're playing Hunter, always have 100 mobility. Always. Some people might be looking at the resilience and thinking, hey, 29 resilience seems kind of low. Don't you need at least like 30, 40, 50? What happened to that? Since 120's got nerfed, you don't need 50 resilience anymore to survive 1 head, 2 body shots. You can survive that even with 20 resilience now. And to be honest with you, you don't really gain anything for having a bunch of resilience anymore, at least on Hunter. So if you want to drop it down to 2 or 3, I think I would suggest 3 over 2, then by all means do it. There's no downside whatsoever. The only thing is you might die to a Thorn, 2 headshot, 1 body shot, but let's be honest, who uses Thorn? I rarely run into Thorn, and I know a lot of people in chat are going to be like, dude, everyone uses Thorn. Come on. I rarely run in them in trials, so in all honesty, you're good to just run 2 or 3 on Hunter, not Titan. Then, of course, we have recovery. I would always suggest 100 recovery now. I used to suggest only 8 or 6 or something like that. The lowest I would go now is actually 8 on Hunter. 8 to 9 recovery is not a big difference whatsoever, so if you're going to run 9, you might as well just run 8, and if you're going to run 9, you might as well run 10. So you got to choose either 8 or 10. Apparently, 9 is really bad because the difference isn't big enough. Again, that might be incorrect, but either way, just use 100 if you can, which I'm sure you can. Put 100 recovery and 100 mobility. Now, for the next 3 stats, you could argue a lot of things. For discipline, I think discipline's always really good to have like 5 or 6. You don't want to have too little discipline because then you won't have your grenade, and grenades in this game are really good. I'm running 6 at the moment, and for tournament rules, 6 is the max you can have anyways, so this works out really well for me. If you can have more, by all means go ahead, but that means your other stats might be a little too low, so you want to be careful for that. As for the intellect, it might seem a little too low, and in all honesty, it is. It is pretty damn low, but the only reason I'm able to play with 50 and not something like 70 or 80, which I would recommend, is because I'm on bottom tree golden gun, and I do have a perk that gives me more super energy every precision hit and kill. So right here, practice makes perfect. Enter a trance with each precision hit, reducing the cooldown of your golden gun. So again, if I'm accurate, I get my super quicker. And since I'm using DMT hitting a bunch of headshots, I get my super really, really quick. So with that out of the way, you only need really 50 or 60 for golden gun. And if you're using anything else, I would highly suggest 70 to 80. I don't think you need 100, but it would definitely help to have as much as you can. This is the big problem with my build right here. I have 60 strength, and for some reason, I just always have a lot of strength on my armor. Please use low strength if you can. If you're using Gambler's Dodge, strength is a big no-no because you're getting your melee back after dodging next to someone anyways. So when you're having 100 mobility, you just don't really need 61 strength. It's pointless. So use the lowest strength you can as possible. You don't even need to use Radiant Light if you don't want to. I just have it on because why not? But again, use low strength if you can. Next, we have the shader I use on my Hunter and also the ornaments I use on my armor pieces. Here you go. And if you want to pause the video to just check it out, you can. Last but not least, we have my keybinds, my sensitivity, all that good stuff, my video settings. I'll be showing you guys that too. So my ADS sensitivity is 4. I have ADS sensitivity modifier at 1.0. Aim smoothing is off. Please always have aim smoothing off if you want to take this game a little seriously. And also you should just have it off always. It's not good for your aim. I'll be showing you guys my keybinds now. If you don't want to pause the screen, you can. I'm not going to name every single keybind, but you guys can just pause and take a look really quickly. I will point out a few things though. I do have my charged melee on V and my uncharged as my mouse button on the back. So I use my throwing knife with V and then I just use a normal melee with my mouse button. Another thing to keep in mind is I have my jump on my spacebar and on my scroll wheel at the same time. You can do this. So if I ever want to use my scroll wheel, I have the option. I use toggle sprint. I also hold crouch with my mouse button as well. And other than that, that's about it. I don't really have anything too crazy. If you want to check out the rest of the keybinds, here you go. As for my video settings, I play on 2560 by 1440. So I do play on 1440p, 105 field of view. I have maxed out frames, so I do not cap it whatsoever. The reason why it says 30 is because it's just off. So if I turn it on and cap it, it would be at 30. But since it's off, I have unlimited frames. Screen bounds is all the way maxed out. Brightness is turned up all the way as well, so I like to burn my eyes out. And then I play everything on the lowest settings possible, literally the lowest it can go. Render resolution is 100, and the rest of the things down here are both turned off. Well, I haven't talked that much in a while. That was kind of a long video, but I hope you guys enjoyed anyways. I hope this helped a few new players or even old players. If people were wondering what my settings and my mods and my armor was, here you guys go. If there's anything that I missed, please let me know, and I'll type it in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed, and like always, I'll see you in the next one. Later. My merch is finally up. It's only going to be available for the next month, so if you do want to support the channel, make sure you go to the description down below. Thank you. For those who want to join my Discord server, we're at around 5,500 members right now. Would be really great if you guys could join. We're trying to get all the way up to 10,000 if possible, and I always let people know whenever I post a video. Link is also in the description down below. Thank you. For those who want to support me and go the extra mile, I have my own advanced GG code WALLAH. You get 10% off at checkout, and if you're interested, there's a link in the description down below. Thank you.